there were times like first you go one time and then you feel afraid and all, no? But later when you go again and again, it becomes so wonderful. And there are places, there are caves, there are ancient places, and there are even places like they make it more secure for you. Like for example, they make up, there are like beautiful places with ancient, like they even have like a small gutter carved onto the cave. So then you can see even still after all these thousands of years, even in rain time, the water just goes down. It doesn't fall down on or come inside the cave. And some are small, some are bigger. Then you just want to stay there. And what happens is like you are very mindful, you have a lot of time and space, and the objects in the mind are lesser and lesser. But there are mosquitoes in some places, there are snakes, there are bigger animals, but they never harm you. Unless I think some big karmic thing that has to be faced. There are snakes about you, like your arm, like venomous ones, the vipers and all. But soon as you hear the sound and all, like no, the ones like there's always like some animals always going, no, on their paths. So you get used to those sounds and you're okay with it. And then sometimes you hear different sounds. Then like because there's like in one place there's this like the monitor lizard. So there's this small guy who always passes, at about 12 noon. So like okay, this is this guy going now. Then one day it was like the sound was different. Oh my goodness. It was like a snake, like a viper. It was so beautiful, but its body was like our arm, so big, like a chunk. And this guy was so big, he was slipping down the rock, and it was a different sound. And when you just go and look, and it was like so beautiful and so massive. So, but you don't feel, and you do a lot of like loving kindness meditation, lot of mindfulness, and your mind is quite good. And some places, like there are things you don't see from your normal eye, like entities and all. So they put you on to test. So some places it is totally occupied by them, so they don't like you hanging around there. And some places they accept and but they put you onto some kind of test and see. So, but if your virtue is very strong, as monks and all, we used to keep very powerful virtues, and so then it doesn't affect you even.
I see. So I guess you have to kind of prepare yourself mentally for that so then you don't give off any, I guess, vibes or impressions that you're afraid or have any hostile intent on those snakes. And then at the same respect, they will in turn just leave you alone and think you're just like a rock or part of the environment. And is that kind of the way to look at it then, I suppose? Or
There's some even there's the endurance part. If you are sick in the forest and all, sometimes you are very far away from even a village. So there is a part that you have to give up also, like you have to get off your comfort zone. First, it's tough. Now, sometimes you just stay like without a meal, or if you're sick, you have to wait. Sometimes there are places like people just found me after many days, like he was missing, and then I was very sick. But only a few times that happened. Luckily for me, I was like very healthy then. I was when I was doing all those gym things and everything. Those days I had to eat many times, no? But here one meal or sometimes one meal after 2 or 3 days also was fine. And there's a lot of physical as well as mental energy. And in meditation, we can talk about these things. There's a thing called rapture, and when it happens, oh my goodness, you have so much energy. Not the happiness or the that comes also for sure. Your body feels so light, the mind feels so happy, and but when this bliss comes, you have so much energy. You can just go on. You're not starving yourself or like depriving yourself. Nothing. You just sit, and then you think, okay, maybe I'll go tomorrow. Then you're not starving and like, my goodness, I'll get gastritis or something, nothing like that. So you can just sit, and sometimes it just goes on like 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. You can just go on. So about that practices, yeah, not only me, there were like This happened especially when I went to Myanmar, and we were all practicing very hard. And one of our days were like more than 12 hours. And I stayed there for like the retreat for me, it went on for like almost 4 years. Within that time period, there was like a lengthy process of learning from the very basics till the very end of practices. So those teachers taught me everything, and I was really happy to drop everything and learn from scratch. It was very nice. Then after that, yeah, everybody was trying very hard at that time, and our normal day would be like 10 hours, 12 hours of practice, and a good day would exceed more than 12 hours. So the bio and all actually it was made by another person to help me out, and they have built in these things. They are also everybody was practicing very hard and a normal time period, and you get used, but it's gradually happening. You just practice 1 hour, but our teachers, their normal limit was like 3 hours of practice, the standard. And then after that, when the concentration was building and all, we gradually increased the time. It's not a forceful. Before there were practices, we used to force ourselves to stay. And after about 3 hours, oh my goodness, it was so painful. You don't move, no? And but that is not the way. And then you build your concentration. After you build your concentration, your physicality and mentality becomes so light and so comfortable. That is the proper way. But we used to force ourselves at some centers and all. After 3 hours, it's so painful. But after 5 hours, it goes into like a flight mode and you don't feel nothing anymore. Maybe numbness and everything takes over. But still, you win like things like pain. You overcome them. It takes you to the highest peak. And then I was just checking out my limitations, capacities, and putting the physicality and mentality into test. So you can go beyond things like fear, beyond things like pain, and it takes you to the peak of things and tries to like put all the things possible. But after you sweat even, then after that it's just a drop. And even the biggest pains, it turned into like heat, and then it was just like a pulse. I'm not telling pain was not there, but it was like 50% less. And what happened was like it was just like a pulse later on. From that day on, I was never afraid of pain.